Hey everybody, my name is Diane Gale and I am the author of the blog sustainableslowliving.com, and today you and I are going to make some stuffed mushrooms together. New Year's is coming up. This is a perfect menu item for New Year's Eve or for New Year's Day. If you're doing like a small intimate dinner or even a very small dinner party, you can do these the way we're going to do them today in a larger portobello mushroom cap and make them a main meal. Or if you're throwing an event or going to an event where there's going to be more people, you can take this same recipe and do it in small. Oh, there's a bunny out there. Huh, very cool. Sorry. And do it in small portobello mushroom caps and serve it more like an appetizer. The first thing we're going to do today is we're going to clean our portobello mushrooms. I have about 6 medium-sized portobello mushroom caps here, and I think that that's going to be just the right amount for the stuffing that I'm making. If you were doing really large ones, you could do maybe 4. A lot of people don't realize that when you clean mushrooms, you shouldn't run them under water. Mushrooms are really, really porous, and one of the things that you're going to want to do in a recipe like this is you're going to want to try and remove some of the water from the mushroom that's already in it, because they're not only porous, but they have a really high water content. So the last thing you want to do is put them under running water or soak them, that's even worse, and allow them to suck up even more water. So when you clean a mushroom, the right way to do that is with a damp, very clean kitchen towel or with a damp paper towel. And since I'm not in my own kitchen, that's what I have available to me today, is a damp paper towel. So you're just going to take your damp paper towel and you're just going to clean the top of your mushroom with it. You really don't have to do any more than that. But there is usually dirt on the mushroom, and you do need to get that dirt off. Once you have your mushrooms cleaned, you're going to want to take and you're going to want to pop the stem out of the center of them, and it should come right out. I usually just take my knife and trim the cut end off of the stem while I'm doing this, because I think that that's easier. You can also take your knife and trim the cut ends before you pop your stems out, as long as your stems are long enough that you're still going to be able to get a grip on them. And the reason that you want to cut these cut ends off is they've been cut, right? You bought the mushrooms that way. They're a little bit nasty. And we're going to cut these stems up and we're going to put them in our stuffing. So you don't want this nasty part on there. So cut those off, take and pop your stems out. And then you're going to take a small spoon and you're going to get the gills that are inside your mushroom out of there. The gills you're not going to save. The reason that you take the gills out is because they can be a little bit bitter, and they can lend a nasty bitter taste to your mushroom. And taking them out allows more room for that yummy shrimp scampi stuffing, and who doesn't want that? All right, you guys, so we have all of our mushroom caps cleaned. I'm going to bake these on a stone today. You can bake them on a regular baking sheet if that's what you have. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take 2 tablespoons of olive oil and a large minced clove of garlic. And we're going to want to baste the top side of these mushrooms with it. Now, I'm not going to waste this delicious garlic. It's only a little. I'm just going to take and toss it in these mushroom caps. Now that we have these mushroom caps already on this stone, I'm going to par bake it. And the reason that you're going to par bake it is to bring some of that water that we talked about out of the mushrooms. Now with the stone, I'm probably going to have to put this in the oven for about 15 minutes. because the stone has to heat up before it can, you know, par bake the mushrooms. But if you're putting yours in the oven on a regular baking sheet, you're probably looking at 5 minutes, maybe 10. All you want to do, you're not trying to cook your mushrooms all the way through, you're just trying to release some of the juices from them. And I'm going to pre-warn you that on the stone I might not end up with a lot of water because the stone will probably cause that water to evaporate. But if you do this on a baking sheet, when you take it out of the oven, you're likely to have little pools of water underneath your mushroom caps. And so you're going to want to transfer your mushroom caps to another baking sheet, or you're going to want to pull them off and put them on a plate and get your baking sheet dry and then put them back on your baking sheet. You want to get rid of that water. You don't want to allow, after you stuff your mushrooms and you bake them, you don't want to allow them to bake in that pool of water. So let me get these in the oven, and then while they're in there, I'm going to bring you over to the stove and we're going to start to make the stuffing. Alright you guys, so I have put 2 tablespoons of butter and a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil in this saucepan. It's just about, the butter's just about completely melted, so we're going to go ahead and start putting ingredients in. I've got it on about medium heat right now. We're going to put in a 1/4 cup of onions, chopped finely. We're going to put in those mushroom stems. I removed any remaining gills that were on them and I chopped them up. We're going to put in 2 cloves of garlic that is minced, and we're going to put in 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, and a tablespoon of parsley. And we're going to stir that up, and we're just going to cook that until the onions become a little bit translucent. I don't know if you guys can see. I feel like it's kind of dark over here. But anyway, these are kind of translucent. Now I'm going to shut the heat off. And then I'm going to take 1/2 pound of chopped shrimp. And I'm going to put that in here. I'm going to stir it up very quickly. And then just as you start to get the slightest bit of pink on any of the shrimp, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to remove this from the heat completely. Alright you guys, I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying, let me get it here where the light is. There we go. So the shrimp is not really cooked. And that's what you want. And now we're going to take this. It's cooled down a little because we put cold shrimp in there. But we want to cool it down before we put in the egg because we don't want the egg to cook. So the next thing we're going to put in is a 1/4 cup of white wine. And then we're going to put in a tablespoon of lemon juice. And I'm just going to squeeze this in here. I'm going to estimate a tablespoon. But you can fresh squeeze lemon juice, you can measure it. Or you can go ahead and use bottled lemon juice. Not always my favorite, bottled lemon juice, but I do use it. Usually I use bottled lemon juice when I forget to pick up lemons. And then we're going to stir that up. And then we'll put 1 large beaten egg in there. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start to soak up some of the liquid that's in the stuffing. And we're going to do that with breadcrumbs. So I've got 1/2 cup of unseasoned breadcrumbs here. I'm going to throw those in and give it a stir. And that's perfect because we're starting to get a little bit of substance to it. So it's going to be easy to stuff the mushrooms with it. And then we're going to take 1/2 cup of freshly shredded Asiago cheese. You can use Parmesan or Romano if you prefer them. Asiago is my favorite. I do encourage you to use freshly grated. This is not an inexpensive dish. The portobellos are a little pricey. If you don't have wine in the house, you have to pick up some wine. Cooking wine is pricey, and drinking wine is pricey too. The shrimp is pricey, and there's just, if you go with a cheap cheese, you're kind of throwing it all out the window. So do yourself a favor and use a good quality cheese and shred it by hand. Alright, so now this is ready to fill the mushroom caps. Okay, you guys, so here's what I've done off camera. I took the portobello mushrooms out of the oven. I put them on a plate. I drained the juice off the stone because there actually was a lot, and wiped the stone off. And then I took and I sauteed up 6 shrimp because we've got 6 portobellos here, and these shrimp are kind of big. We're going to put one of them on the top of each of the portobellos. So I'm going to take the stuffing and I'm going to divide it among these mushrooms. And I want them to be nice and full. And then I'm going to put them back on the stone. You want to get your stuffing on here kind of nice and tight so that it doesn't fall all over in the oven. And I ended up doing that just with my hands. It's so much easier. And then I'm going to take some more freshly shredded Asiago cheese, and I'm going to top each one of these. And I'm going to take a shrimp and I'm going to stick it on the top of each one of them. I'm putting them on there a little bit off to the side. I guess just my personal preference for appearance. And don't push them in so hard so that your stuffing bulges out all over. And then I'm going to take a little more parsley and I'm going to go on the other side and tiny bit on the shrimp. And hopefully when these come out of the oven, they're going to be gorgeous. Now this is pretty much all cooked. The only thing that's in here that's raw is the egg. I know that you're thinking that the chopped shrimp is still raw, but as the chopped shrimp sits with all of the other ingredients, it actually cooks through. Shrimp cooks very quickly, and you don't want to overcook shrimp because it gets a really rubbery, unpleasant texture. So we're pretty much cooked here. I'm going to put this back in the oven for another maybe 10 minutes and just finish it off, and then we are going to have a taste together. Okay, you guys, I don't know how much of this you can see, but I have a mess here like I always do when I'm taking pictures. I have these cut up and spread all over. But right here on this dish, I have one that you and I are going to taste together. I did take and squeeze a little bit of lemon over the top of these. So here we go. I have got a nice big bite. And I wish you were here where you could have a bite with me. But I guess it's just me this time. You guys, this came out even better than I could have imagined. It's been a long time since I've made these, and I tweaked the recipe a little bit to make it what I expected to be even better. And I definitely can say that I was successful. These are out of this world. So I hope you're going to make yourself some. I'm so glad that you joined me here today. And you and I are going to get together again. We're going to do it really soon.